Hello, my fellow ophidiophobes. This is Stephen from Clutch Pythons, and today we're going to explore the fascinating yet illogical fear of snakes. Because the first step to recovery is admitting that you have a problem. All right, so it must be understood that at least some of our fears, particularly the fear of snakes, are probably based in at least some level of faulty assumption. And where did that come from? Well, it's easy to point out a lot of things. The first thing I think is the media. You know, um, there are, the media portrays, movies, TV shows. The stereotypical snake is not a serpent of love and joy and care, right? It's about a snake that is going to kill you, that is going to hunt you, that's going to envenomate you. The movie Anaconda, where it swallows the guy whole, and then you see the lump in the snake of the man. Venomous snakes. Yeah, the movie Silent Predators, for me, growing up, was a huge part of my fear of snakes. Silent Predators is a movie about a town that has to deal with an infestation of hybrid super venomous rattlesnakes. And it totally plays into our fear. And it's not the truth. Snakes actually don't want to come out and hunt you and kill you. They would rather prefer to hide under a rock or stay in a tree. They don't really want, for the most part, human interaction. At least wild snakes don't. Now, so the media is a big part of it. Well, maybe someone scared you with a snake, or scared you with a spider. Maybe a snake slithered across your path. My mom and dad, when they were first married, a snake slithered on the road, on the path that they were walking, and it made my mom jump 5 feet in the air, grab onto my dad. He had to carry her out, and it was, one of those things that played into our big fear of snakes. Maybe the sound of snakes, the hissing, because snakes can hiss, and not all snakes will hiss, but I have one or two that will. But that sound just is ingrained into your memory, and it sends shivers up your spine every time you hear it. So one of the things about fears, if you want to try to overcome them, is to think about when you first had this fear, or when you first realized that you had this fear. Now, thinking back in my own experience, I remember as a child waking up in bed and believing that there was a rattlesnake under my bed, and that if I put my foot down on the floor, that it was going to bite my Achilles tendon. I mean, just the thought of it sends shivers down my spine. And so instead of just stepping out of bed, what I would have to do is I would have to get out of bed, and I would have to jump across the room so no snakes could get me, and then kind of peek my head under the bed just to make sure that there were no snakes, and then I could go about my day. But the anxiety of getting out of bed as a child, I remember that very clearly. And so, thinking about some of our experiences, where did it come from, or how early did I develop this fear, and is it rational? These are all questions that need to be asked and thought about. But another thing is to think about, why would it be beneficial to overcome the fear of snakes? And the reality of it is some fears can hinder you. It's definitely good to have a healthy respect of reptiles, especially venomous ones, but reptiles in general, snakes in general. But it might not be necessary to fear them, right? And something that you can think about in your life is that actually overcoming fears is like having little successes in your life. Now, if you're not a very successful person in your life, that's okay. But one thing that you can do is to overcome some of your fears. It's like putting a check mark on your list of fears that you don't have anymore. So overcoming some of these fears is certainly helpful, and can actually make you into a more successful person. Now, for me, part of the reason why I wanted to overcome this fear of snakes is because of the business side. I saw all these people, Brian Barczyk, other individuals as well being successful. And I thought, you know what? I'm an entrepreneur. I have a couple home-based businesses that I run. And I think that that's something that I could do. I might have to confront my fear of snakes, but that's fascinating to me. And I remember the first time I told my wife, I think part of me overcoming this fear of snakes is actually owning them. She thought I was nuts. She was like, that's crazy. Who would do a thing like that? But here I am. I own several snakes and plan on owning more. And I still have a little bit of the fear there, but it's not as bad as it used to be. And the anxiety certainly isn't at the level that it was, especially as a child. But I think for me, one of the top reasons why you should consider overcoming the fear of snakes is one day I was, cleaning cages or something like that. And I was handling this one snake, and I have been growing particularly fond of it because it's super nice. It's super sweet. It's super comfortable. And I just remember looking at it and thinking, wow, I love, at least to some level, I love this snake. I care for it, and it brings me joy. And then it started to click. It was like, oh, I'm starting to understand why a lot of people love these animals. And if there's any reason why you should overcome your fear of snakes, that would be it. Because everybody needs a little bit more joy. Everybody needs a little bit more excitement in their life. I mean, it's the neatest thing to bring a friend over and say, hey, I'm going to show you my snakes. And even if it's just a small ball python, you pull it out and it's like, what? That's amazing. And the people that, I'm introducing to it, it's just such a great feeling to be a part of. And so there's plenty of reasons why overcoming ophidiophobia is a good thing. And it's unnecessary to live with fears that are illogical. And I understand that there needs to be a healthy respect for them, but I think that we can coexist with them very well. And I think that they appreciate, I do think that the animals actually appreciate us as well. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of perspective on, helps you think back to maybe why you were afraid of snakes, or maybe you're not afraid of snakes anymore and you kind of turned to 180 and you have a lot of more joy in your life because of them. So hopefully that gives you some perspective on that. And this has been a good discussion. My name is Steven from Clutch Pythons, and until next time, thanks, guys.